Good evening, everyone. It's Mercedes, and it is all spiritual. This is our Monday 7 p.m. broadcast. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty, so we're going to see if this one's going to get it all the way through. I'm very happy to be here. If you have been on my feed at all, it looks like that I am getting a little bit more caring and vocal about some of the issues that are important to me in my life, and it is so important for me right now because I'm going through major transitions and transformations, starting my own business, and also September 22nd I will be becoming a U.S. citizen, so I am very happy. I've been a citizen of Canada. I was born and raised in Canada, and I spent my entire adult life in Las Vegas, and it's just time. It's just one of those things that we decide in life. So I'm very excited. It's amazing how emotional I can still be, even though I have been in America all these years. So if you're going down my feed, you're seeing things like post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, I'm usually so zen and so peaceful, but we're dealing with people who are fighting for water rights right now and to keep our waters fresh and clean. And isn't it funny that the smallest common denominator, and in my work I call it the smallest, most sacred and simplest denominator, something like water, would be galvanizing people in this country. One of my guides is a Native American guide. I call him Red Feather, and he has given me some chants about 9 months ago now for healing the earth. So I've been sitting in my living room chanting. I wish I could have gone to North Dakota. Two of my dear friends went to North Dakota, and I'm just not able to go at this time. So that is my contribution. The other thing is post-traumatic stress disorder. You'll be seeing some things as I find groups to support, because women are, in particular, that's who I work with mostly. I do work with men, but in issues-related items, mostly with women. And post-traumatic stress disorder sneaks up on us a lot of times when we have gone through domestic violence or physical emotional abuse. We might have even had experienced something as a child, and we don't even know that we have been exposed to, I don't know if that's the right language, but that post-traumatic stress disorder is affecting our lives and the way we're living. And sometimes it's just a cutting off of the breath, like you can't breathe and you can't even understand why you can't breathe. So I experienced situational post-traumatic stress disorder as I was coming out of the robbery, and it's been very amazing. And one of the things that I want to talk about going forward is that sometimes when you've gone through these life experiences, we're not calling them spiritual experiences, although everything is spiritual at that time. You're living. You're just moving through the moment, that dramatic moment in your life. And so maybe the spirituality comes later, yeah? Maybe you pray a little differently, or you start breathing consciously, or meditating, or learning what meditation is about. But all of these things give us an awakening and an inner journey to our inner selves. And a lot of times what happens is we're not standing solidly. I remember there were times when my legs would be shaking. I wear a lot of long skirts, and my legs would literally be shaking underneath the skirts as I was being in public. Something going out for dinner, but it was a crowded restaurant, and something would trigger me. And then I would either leave, or my breathing would get shallow, and I'd have to work through the panic and the fear of that moment. So we talk about things being spiritual, and everything is a spiritual walk, but sometimes we're just living the walk that we're given in that moment. So that's going on my feed right now. A little bit of having a remembering of what it's like to move through those moments, and then wanting to assist people with those things. So, Onono Ieshke na, the channel is here. Let's see what we say. Oh, there was one more thing in the preamble. Um, Fearing the fear itself. I know that sounds a little wild, but when it came up on the feed, I was like, that is so true. If you've gone through an instance in your life where you've been ill or you've had post-traumatic stress disorder and there's things that are triggering that anxiety, sometimes you are fear of having the anxiety itself be triggered. So you put up all of these, I should be speaking in the I, but all of these, I would put up all of these defense mechanisms. And one of the things that I was really afraid of was getting tired. I didn't know if the tired was the depression. I didn't know if the tired was just me being tired for the day. I didn't know if the tired had triggered some sort of post-traumatic stress disorder symptomatic response. So it's like you get afraid of being tired, you get afraid of being in fear of being in fear. And so those layers, I remember thinking, oh, I'm better, I'm fine. Well, what I was better and fine was I was better and fine at not being afraid of the fear, but I might not have been better at the actual, how am I handling the anxiety itself. So a lot of times we are claiming the symptoms and exasperating the condition. That's not very spiritual talk. I know it's all an illusion and we can go into all of that. But as you're standing in the bank and there is a man who matches the description of the robber behind you and your heart starts beating, that is a real moment in your life. Yes? Okay. So let's see what the channel has to say, and thank you for being here. I'm so glad and enduring through the technical difficulties we had earlier. Namaste. I'll see you next Monday. So let's see what the channel has to say. Hello and welcome. It is so important what our vessel is speaking of tonight, because everything is frequency. And so when you talk about the being afraid of the fear itself, it can be a little complex. When you're moving into things that you'd like to manifest in your life. Yes, so what we know to be true is different. When your awakening is happening through these experiences we call life. Later on, you'll read books and people will say it's all an illusion and now breathe through it. But is that really compassionate? And is it really real? So the first thing, that we would say is just to recognize where you are at and understand and have compassion and love for yourself, that these things have happened. We spoke earlier about the simplest, most sacred seed. So we would say to you that the simplest, most sacred seed is to love thyself. Sometimes, a spiritual experience is having a bubble bath, feeling the warm water, and it puts you into a place where, it puts you into a place, or what we would say a frequency, where you can say, ah, and that shifts you out of the fear, the hurt, the misunderstanding, the thing that is driving you to draw inside into the darkness. Everything is a spiritual experience. It's all spiritual. But sometimes at the time that you're going through it, it is really a stretch to find the spirituality in it, Ioshkona, or the lesson in it, Ieshkena. So the first step is to just feel better. Just feel better. Onono Ieshkena. Feel better. Onono Ieshkena nanayoko. And even that sometimes is a stretch. So, inono ieshkena, as things are coming up and life is happening all around us at this moment, you know, inono ieshke, we mentioned, our vessel mentioned the drinking water, inono ieshke, the stand for water, iokona. Who would have thought that we would have to, in this day and age, onono ieshkena, say that water is important to living? It is a basic fundamental requirement. We come from water in our mother's womb. We come from water. We are water. We intake water. It is just so basic and fundamental. Who would have thought that this would have been the thing that is gathering the energies for nurturing, rebirth, and renewal. So when you look at the macro, when you look at the big things that are happening, how is that relating to what is happening in your everyday life? What are the big things in your life? And can you bring them down and identify the simplest, most sacred thing, and feel good about it? Fight for it. She talked about post-traumatic stress disorder. What is the simplest, most sacred thing? Maybe it is just getting out of bed in the morning. And yay. Our vessel was there at one point. We're getting out of bed was a success for the day. This environment that we are in right now is going to be one of looking for the smallest, most sacred, most loving things. And feeling good about those things. When you look at the big picture, where's the thing to love in it? And when you're looking at the picture of your life, the picture of your living, where are the things to enjoy and be grateful for? It is going to be simple and it is going to be small. Very uncomplicated, not complex at all. So we would say to you, breathe. If you have a difficult circumstance in your life, pick one thing to feel better about. One small thing. An ice cream cone. A bubble bath. Sometimes it's the afternoon tea, the feeling of the warm liquid going down your throat and into your belly and giving yourself some internal comfort. All of these things are spiritual practices. All of these things are connecting you to the higher source. All of these things all of these things are connecting you with yourself, and allowing yourself, that capital S self, to be divine in a moment. It's so interesting. I'm now seeing a list. So maybe it is suggested that you write a list of the simple things that you really enjoy, and maybe exchange them with a friend. Does that make sense? That might actually be fun. Exchange them with a friend. It might be a fresh cut flower, it may be a stroll in the park, it may be finding the free stuff in your town and making a bucket list and going to visit things and places and people and having experiences. It may be that you need some rest, and so your sacred, most smallest common denominator for loving yourself may be a big new fluffy bath towel and a new pillow and a good long rest on a day off, day away from work. So we are here to say, look for the smallest, most sacred, most simplest ways to love yourself. And if you've gone through trauma, Anononi eshkena illness, iekena nananioko, a breakup in a relationship, onononi eshkena, or anything else that is keeping your heart a little heavy. Ioshkona iekena, we send love to you. Onononi eshkena anananioko. Yes, there are spiritual practices, iekena, like prayer, onononi eshke, breath and yoga and qigong and anononi yoshkona, even eating, changing your eating style so the energy that's coming in through your food is nurturing and supporting life. Iekona iena. There's so many different ways. Iekona iekena. But these are basic tenets of living. Ioshkona iekena. You don't have to put them in the category of being spiritual necessarily. Okona ieshkena. Put them in the category of loving yourself. Yes? Thank you so much for being here. Onono no ieshkena nananioko. We love you, we love you, we love you. We love you. And we bid you adieu. It doesn't want to let me go. Maybe I should have more things to say, huh? Thank you very much.